What if the smartest person in the room was also the biggest failure? What if the one person everyone believed in was secretly drowning? What if the problem was never your talent? What if the problem was never your intelligence? What if the only thing standing between you and everything you ever wanted was one truth you refused to accept, one hard truth, one simple truth, a truth so uncomfortable most people spend their entire lives running from it? Today, I want to tell you the story of Marcus. Not a king, not a CEO, not a celebrity, just a young man. Brilliant, talented, full of potential, and completely, totally stuck. This is his story, but if you listen carefully, you'll realize it might also be yours. Marcus was 24 years old. He lived in a small apartment on the third floor of a building that smelled like old carpet and takeout food. His desk was covered in notebooks. Brilliant notebooks. Ideas everywhere. Business plans, invention, stories, strategies. The people who knew Marcus said the same thing every single time. That guy is going to be something special. His mother said it, his teachers said it, his friends said it, even his neighbors said it. Marcus, oh, he's smart. That boy is going to change the world someday. Someday, that word followed Marcus everywhere, someday. But someday never seemed to arrive. Marcus had graduated near the top of his class. He had read hundreds of books. He could solve problems faster than anyone in the room. In conversations, he was sharp, insightful, impressive. People loved talking to Marcus. But there was something they didn't know about him, something he hid very well. Marcus had never finished anything, not one thing, not a single project, not a single goal, not a single dream he started. Oh, he was brilliant at starting a new business idea. Marcus had the whole plan written in 48 hours, a fitness goal. Marcus had the entire 12-week program mapped out, a YouTube channel. Marcus had recorded 3 videos, edited 2, uploaded 0. He had a folder on his laptop called Projects. Inside that folder were 47 different ideas, 47. Each one started with excitement. Each one started with energy. Each one started with that feeling, you know, the feeling that this time it's going to work. And each one stopped, sometimes after 2 days, sometimes after 2 weeks, sometimes after 2 months. But they always stopped, always. Marcus told himself stories about why. Timing wasn't right. I need to learn more first. The market changed. Restart it next month, someday. Later, the words of a man going nowhere, but Marcus didn't see it that way. Not yet, because Marcus believed something deeply, quietly in the hidden corners of his heart. He believed he was different. He believed that when he was really ready, when the conditions were just right, when the perfect moment arrived, he would explode, he would rise. Would prove everyone right. He was just waiting. Marcus had a dream, a specific dream. He wanted to build an online business. Something that would give him freedom. Something that would let him wake up without an alarm clock. Something that would prove to the world and to himself that all that potential people saw in him was real. He had tried before, multiple times. The first time, he built a website selling digital templates. He spent 6 weeks designing everything perfectly. The colors, the fonts, the layout. Everything had to be perfect before he launched. He launched on a Tuesday. By Friday, he had made 0 sales. He told himself the niche was wrong. He shut it down. The second time, he started a social media marketing agency. He watched 40 hours of YouTube tutorials first. He built a beautiful portfolio website. He designed business cards even though he had no clients. He sent out 5 cold emails. No one replied. He told himself cold email was dead. He shut it down. The third time, he started a newsletter. He wrote 3 issues. They were genuinely good, insightful, well-written. He had 9 subscribers. 7 of them were family members. He told himself newsletters were oversaturated. He shut it down. Each failure hit Marcus a little harder than the last, not because he was fragile, but because each failure came with a question he couldn't answer. Why? He was smart. He worked hard, at least, hard in bursts. He had good ideas. Why wasn't it working? He started going down dark paths in his mind. Maybe I'm not as talented as people think. Maybe the people who succeed just got lucky. Maybe I missed my window. Maybe this just isn't for me. He started spending more time on his couch. He started watching other people's success stories and feeling sick instead of inspired. He started avoiding conversations with old friends because he didn't want to answer the question he dreaded most. So Marcus, what are you working on these days? He didn't know what to say anymore. He was working on nothing. He was good at nothing. He was going nowhere. And the worst part wasn't the failure. The worst part was the gap. The gap between who Marcus knew he could be and who he actually was. He felt it every morning when he woke up, that hollow feeling in his chest, like something important was missing, like time was moving and he was standing still. He was 24 years old and he already felt like he was running out of time. That feeling is a specific kind of pain. It doesn't come from being stupid. It comes from being smart enough to see your own potential and helpless enough to not know how to reach it. Marcus carried that pain everywhere, to work, to bed, to the bathroom mirror at 2 a.m. when he couldn't sleep. He would look at himself and whisper the same question. What is wrong with me? 6 months passed. Marcus had not started a single new project. He had read more books. He had taken 2 online courses. He had watched countless hours of motivational content, but nothing changed. If anything, he felt worse, because now he had more knowledge and still no results. That combination is its own kind of torture. Then, one afternoon in October, something happened that broke him completely. His younger sister, Priya, called him. She was 21, 3 years younger. She had just closed her first client for a freelance graphic design business she had started 4 months ago. Not a huge client, not a life-changing amount of money, but it was real. It was hers. She had built it. Marcus congratulated her. Genuinely. He loved his sister, but after he hung up the phone, he sat on the edge of his bed for a very long time, and something cracked inside him. His little sister had done it in 4 months. She wasn't as academically smart as Marcus. She had struggled through school. She wasn't the one people pointed to and said that one's going places. But she had done it, and Marcus hadn't. He put his head in his hands. And for the first time in years, Marcus cried. Not tears of sadness exactly, tears of something deeper: shame, frustration, confusion. He had been telling himself for years that he was waiting for the right moment. But his little sister hadn't waited. She had just started messy, started scared, started imperfect, and it worked. Marcus sat there for a long time. Then he did something he hadn't done in months. He opened his laptop. He didn't open a business planning template. He didn't open a YouTube tutorial. He opened his email and sent a message to a man he had been avoiding for 2 years. His name was Daniel. Daniel was 51 years old. He had built and sold 3 small businesses. He lived simply. He drove an old truck. He coached young entrepreneurs on the weekends, not for money, but because he said he owed a debt to the world. Marcus had met him at a workshop 2 years earlier. Daniel had given Marcus his card, said, "If you ever get tired of being stuck, call me." Marcus had been offended at the time. Stuck. He wasn't stuck. He was strategic. He was preparing. But now, 2 years later, sitting in the wreckage of 47 unfinished projects and 1 broken heart, he sent the email. Daniel replied in 20 minutes. Coffee. Saturday, 9 a.m. Don't be late. Marcus arrived at the coffee shop exactly on time. Daniel was already there. He was a big man with a calm face and kind eyes that somehow made you feel like he could see straight through you. He didn't say hello. He just looked at Marcus for a long moment and said, "You look tired." Marcus laughed. Short, embarrassed laugh. "Yeah, I guess I am." Daniel nodded slowly. He wrapped both hands around his coffee mug. "Tell me everything," he said. "Don't leave anything out." So Marcus talked. He talked for 45 minutes about the 47 projects, about the failures, about his sister, about the feeling of potential wasted, about the gap, about the hollow chest, about the bathroom mirror at 2 a.m. He told Daniel everything. Daniel listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't offer solutions. He didn't nod sympathetically. He just listened. When Marcus finally finished, Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he said 4 words that changed everything. "Been lying, Marcus." Marcus blinked. "What? You've been lying to yourself every single day." Marcus felt a flash of anger. "How? I worked hard. I tried." "No." Daniel shook his head. Very calm, very certain. "You prepared, you planned, you consumed, you strategized, but you didn't work. Not really. And you know the difference." Anger stayed for a moment, then it dissolved, because Marcus knew. He knew Daniel was right. "Here's the truth," Daniel said, leaning forward slightly. "The one truth you've been running from, the one that's been chasing you since you were 18 years old." He paused. The coffee shop was loud around them. But in that moment, Marcus heard nothing but Daniel's voice. Potential means nothing without execution. And execution is not about talent. It's not about intelligence. It's not about the right moment. Execution is about one thing only: the willingness to do the work when it's uncomfortable, when it's boring, when it's not working yet, when you don't feel like it. When the results aren't coming, that's where success lives, in the unglamorous middle, in the part you keep skipping. Marcus stared at him. Daniel continued. You are not lazy, Marcus. I want you to understand that. You are afraid, and your intelligence has been working against you. Because you are smart enough to imagine failure before it happens, smart enough to find reasons to wait, smart enough to build perfect plans you never execute. You've been using your mind as a shield, a very sophisticated shield, but a shield is not a weapon, and you've been in a battle with no weapon. Marcus was quiet for a long time, then he said very quietly, So what do I do? Daniel smiled. The first smile of the morning. Now that, he said, is the right question. Daniel pulled out a small, worn notebook. He tore out a page and slid it across the table. Rules, he said. Not a complicated system, not a 12-step program. 3 rules. Follow them and your life changes. Ignore them and you stay exactly where you are. Marcus picked up the page. Rule number 1. Imperfect action beats perfect planning every time. Rule number 2. Show up every day whether you feel like it or not. Rule number 3. Measure progress, not perfection. Marcus read them twice. That's it, he said. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Does it look simple to? Yes. Good. Simple is what you need. You've been hiding behind complexity. You make things complicated so you have an excuse to keep preparing instead of doing. Simple removes that excuse. He pointed to the first rule. Rule number 1. Imperfect action. Do you know what your problem has been? You needed everything to be perfect before you started. The website had to be perfect. The plan had to be perfect. Your skills had to be perfect. And nothing is ever perfect, Marcus. Nothing. The person who launches a messy product and improves it will always beat the person who never launches at all. Always. Marcus thought about his first website. 6 weeks building it perfectly. 0 customers. He thought about Priya. 4 months. Real client. He nodded slowly. Daniel pointed to the second rule. Rule number 2. This is the hardest one. Show up every day. Not when you're inspired. Not when you feel motivated. Every day. Discipline is not about willpower. Willpower runs out. Discipline is about identity. When you decide I am someone who shows up every day, you stop negotiating with yourself every morning. You just do it, like brushing your teeth. You don't ask yourself if you feel like brushing your teeth. You just do it. Your work has to become that. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. Daniel pointed to the third rule. Rule number 3. You've been measuring by results. Did I make money? Did I get customers? Did this work? But results take time. They don't come immediately, so when they don't come, you quit. Instead, measure progress. Did I show up today? Did I do the work? Did I improve even 1% from yesterday? That's your measurement. That's what you control. Results will follow, but they follow the process, not the other way around. He closed his notebook. Most people want the harvest without the planting. They want the results without the process. They want the transformation without the discomfort. That's not how any of this works. It has never worked that way, and it never will. Marcus looked down at the paper. 3 rules, so simple, so obvious, and yet he had spent 6 years ignoring all 3 of them. Why didn't anyone ever tell me this? He asked. Daniel smiled again. A little sad this time. People did, Marcus, in different ways, in books, in videos, in conversations. The truth has always been available, but you weren't ready to hear it. You needed to get tired enough, broken enough, honest enough. He stood up, put on his jacket. Question is not whether you understand this now. Understanding is easy. You're intelligent. You'll understand it in 5 minutes. He looked directly at Marcus. The question is whether you'll live it every day, when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's not working yet. He tapped the paper on the table. That's where most people fail, not in the understanding, in the living. He left a tip on the table and picked up his keys. Call me in 30 days, he said. Tell me what you built. And he walked out. Marcus sat in that coffee shop for another hour, reading those 3 rules over and over. Took a photo of the paper. He set it as his phone wallpaper. He wrote the rules in his journal that night. He was ready. He was finally going to do this. Monday morning arrived. Marcus woke up at 7 a.m. He made coffee. He sat at his desk. He opened his laptop. And then nothing. He stared at the screen. What should he start? Which idea? Which platform? Which niche? The old paralysis returned immediately. Like a fog rolling in from the ocean, an hour passed. He had done nothing. He closed the laptop. He felt the familiar despair beginning to rise. Then he stopped. He thought of Daniel's voice, imperfect action. He opened the laptop again. He picked the first business idea in his folder that he still felt any energy about. An online service helping small businesses write their social media captions. Was it the best idea? He didn't know. Was it the right niche? He didn't know. Did he have a perfect plan? Absolutely not. Did he feel ready? No. He started anyway. He wrote 5 sample captions. Just 5, imperfect, rough, done in 40 minutes. He posted them on LinkedIn with a simple message. I'm starting a social media copywriting service for small businesses. Here are 5 examples of my work. DM me if you're interested. Asterisk, his hands were shaking when he hit post. He felt exposed, vulnerable, unprepared. He closed his laptop and went for a walk. That was day 1. Day 2 arrived. He didn't feel motivated. He had 0 DMs from the LinkedIn post. His first instinct, this isn't working, try something else. He heard Daniel's voice again. Show up every day whether you feel like it or not. He sat at his desk. He wrote 5 more sample captions. Different styles, different industries. He posted them. He had done the work. That was enough for today, day 5, still no clients. The doubt was louder now. See, it's not working. You should pivot. You should try a different approach. His fingers hovered over the folder called projects. 47 other ideas waiting. He closed the folder. He wrote his captions. He posted. He measured. Did I show up? Yes. Did I improve? A little. Did I do the work? Yes. That was enough. Day 9, a notification. A small business owner named Sandra had sent him a message. Hey, I saw your posts. I run a bakery and our social media is terrible. Can we talk? Marcus sat up straight. His heart was pounding. He replied immediately. They had a call that afternoon. Sandra was nervous. Marcus was nervous, but Marcus showed up, prepared, focused. Sandra hired him, $60 for 10 captions per week. $60, not life-changing, but real. His first sale. He sat in his apartment that night and held his phone for a long time. $60, the number meant nothing financially. But what it meant emotionally, it meant the system worked. It meant he worked. Marcus called Daniel that night. I got my first client, he said. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then, how does it feel? Small, Marcus admitted. But also, I don't know. Real. Good, Daniel said. Hold on to that feeling. It's going to be your fuel for the next hard stretch. The next hard stretch, Marcus. You just finished week 1. The real test hasn't started yet. He was right. Week 3 arrived. Sandra was happy with the captions. She referred Marcus to a friend who owned a small gym. 2 clients. $140 per week. But Marcus also hit his first real wall. He was running out of content ideas. He was struggling to write in different brand voices. The work was harder than he expected, and the voice in his head got loud again. You're faking it. You're not actually good at this. They're going to figure out you don't know what you're doing. He wanted to quit. He sat with that feeling for a full evening. Then he opened his journal and wrote something. He wrote, "The discomfort I feel right now is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that I am growing. Growing always feels like breaking." He went asleep. He woke up the next morning and did the work. By week 6, Marcus had 5 clients. He was making $600 per week. He had started studying copywriting seriously. Not endlessly, not as a way to delay action, but in focused 1-hour sessions after his work was done. He was learning while doing, not learning instead of doing. That distinction changed everything. By week 10, he had 9 clients and had raised his prices. He was making over $2,000 per week. He had hired his first freelance assistant to help with research. He wasn't just working anymore. He was building. He called Daniel every Sunday, not for advice most weeks, just to check in, to stay grounded. Daniel always asked the same question. Did you show up this week? And every week, Marcus said yes. Every single week. Not because it was always easy. Not because he always felt motivated, but because he had made a decision. He had decided who he was. He was someone who showed up. He was someone who did the work. He was someone who finished. That identity became his anchor. It held him when the storms came. And the storms came. One client fired him with no explanation. Marcus spent a day feeling like he was back to zero. He woke up the next morning and found a new client. A platform he relied on changed its algorithm. His content reach dropped by 60%. He adapted his strategy. He got sick for 3 days. He worked 2 of them anyway. He rested the third without guilt. Every obstacle, every setback, every moment of doubt, he kept applying the 3 rules: imperfect action, show up every day, measure progress, not perfection. 3 rules, simple, relentless. Real 12 months after that Saturday morning coffee with Daniel, Marcus sat at a different desk, in a different apartment. A bright, clean apartment with big windows and a view of the city. He had moved 3 months earlier. His business had grown. He had built a small team. He had niched down into e-commerce brands. He had created a service package. He had systems, his monthly revenue, $18,000, his dollars team, 3 people, his folder called projects. He had deleted it, not because he had no more ideas, because he didn't need it anymore. He had 1 project. He worked it, every day. His mother called him one evening. "Marcus," she said, "your aunt was asking about you. She wanted to know how you're doing." "Tell her I'm good, Mum, really good." "What are you working on?" And this time, for the first time in years, Marcus answered without hesitation, without shame, without the hollow feeling in his chest. He told her about the business, about the team, about the clients, about the systems. His mother was quiet for a moment, then she said very softly, "I always knew, Marcus, I always knew someday you'd do it." Marcus smiled, but he thought of Daniel and he thought, it wasn't someday, Mum, it was every day. That's the difference. Every day, not someday, every single day. Marcus reached out to his sister Priya that week. He took her to lunch. They talked for 3 hours. He told her about Daniel, about the 3 rules, about the transformation. Priya listened carefully. At the end, she said something Marcus didn't expect. "I know all of this already, Marcus." He looked at her. She shrugged. "I just didn't overthink it. I was too scared to plan too much, so I just started." He laughed, a long, full laugh. "You know what your advantage was," he said. "What?" "You were less smart than me." She threw her napkin at him, but she knew what he meant. His intelligence had been a cage. His ability to think, plan, analyze, predict, all of it had been protecting him from the one thing that actually mattered. Starting, doing, continuing, being willing to be imperfect, uncomfortable, and unsure. His sister had walked through that door instinctively. Marcus had stood outside it for 6 years, but he was inside now. And the view was worth every hard day it took to get here, my friend. I want to speak to you now, directly, because I think you came to this video for a reason. Maybe you're like Marcus. Maybe you are brilliant, creative, full of ideas, full of potential, and maybe you are also stuck. Maybe you have a folder of unfinished projects. Maybe you have a dream you've been preparing for instead of pursuing. Maybe you've been telling yourself that you're waiting for the right moment. Maybe you've been learning instead of doing. Maybe you've been planning instead of building. My friend, I want you to hear this. The right moment is not coming. It does not exist. The perfect conditions are not real. The moment you feel completely ready is a lie your fear invented to keep you safe, safe and small, safe and stuck. And you are too talented, too capable, too valuable to spend 1 more year playing it safe. You were not given your potential so you could protect it. You were given it so you could use it. But using it requires something that cannot be learned from a book, something that cannot be found in a course, something that cannot be bought, borrowed, or scheduled for someday. It requires you. Your actual effort, your daily presence, your willingness to be imperfect and keep going anyway, that's it. That is the whole secret, not a secret at all, really, just a truth. A hard truth that most people spend their whole lives running from. Let me say the 3 rules one more time. Write them down if you can. Put them somewhere you'll see them every morning. Rule number 1, imperfect action beats perfect planning every time, not eventually. Not sometimes, every single time. Launch the messy version. Start the imperfect business. Post the rough content. Send the incomplete pitch. Because something imperfect that exists in the world will always be more powerful than something perfect that lives only in your mind, always. Rule number 2, show up every day whether you feel like it or not. Motivation is a visitor. It comes and goes. You cannot build a life on a visitor. Discipline is a resident. It stays. It shows up in the rain. It shows up when you're tired. It shows up when nothing is working yet. Discipline is built by making a decision about who you are. I am someone who shows up. Say that to yourself. Not when you feel inspired. Say it when you don't want to. Say it when you're exhausted. Say it when nothing seems to be working. I am someone who shows up. And then prove it every day. Rule number 3, measure progress, not perfection. Your brain will lie to you about results. It will say, this isn't working. It will say, it's too slow. It will say, look at how far you still have to go. Don't listen to it. Look instead at how far you've come. Look at the work you did today, the skill you improved, the small step you took. Progress is not always visible from the outside, but it is always real and it compounds. Every action you take builds on the last one. Every day you show up adds to the foundation. You are building something, even when you can't see it. Even when it doesn't feel like it, you are building. Don't stop, my friend. Here is the hard truth. The one Marcus ran from for 6 years. The one most people run from their entire lives. Are you ready? You already know what to do. You know the first step. You've known it for a while. You know the thing you've been putting off. The thing you keep saying you'll start next month. The thing you've been researching instead of doing. The thing you dream about but are afraid to begin. You know it. The problem is not that you don't have enough information. The problem is not that you're not ready. The problem is not that the time isn't right. The problem is that starting is terrifying and continuing is hard. And the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels so wide that sometimes it just feels easier to not try. I understand that. But let me ask you something. How has not trying been working for you? How has waiting felt? Has it brought peace? Has it brought satisfaction? Has it brought pride? Or has it brought that hollow feeling, that gap, that quiet ache between who you are and who you know you could be, my friend? That ache is not your enemy. That ache is your compass. It is pointing at something important, something real, something worth building. The only question is whether you'll follow it. Marcus's story is not special because he was gifted. It's special because he finally stopped protecting his gift and started using it. That is available to you right now, not someday. Now, you don't need a Daniel, though I hope you find one. You don't need more information. Though learning is good, you don't need perfect conditions. They are never coming. You need one decision. One decision made today. I am done waiting. I am starting. I am showing up every day, whether I feel like it or not, imperfect, uncomfortable, uncertain. But moving, make that decision today, not after this video ends. Now, right now in your mind, make the decision, feel it, hold it, keep it. Because here is what I know about you. I know that if you watched this entire video, you are not lazy. Lazy people don't watch things like this. Lazy people don't sit with stories about improvement and feel that tug in their chest. That tug is the real you, the version of you that knows what you're capable of, the version that has been waiting patiently, far more patiently than you deserve, for you to stop planning and start living. Don't make that version wait any longer. The world needs what you're carrying, your idea, your art, your business, your voice, your contribution. It needs it. And you need to give it not for applause, not for money, not for status. But because the moment you start doing the thing you were made to do, the hollow feeling disappears. The gap starts to close, and life for the first time starts to feel like yours. That is what's waiting for you on the other side of action. Go get it before you go. If this story moved you, if something in Marcus's journey felt familiar, if you felt something shift inside while watching, please hit the like button right now. Not for me, for Marcus. For the version of yourself that sat through this whole story because some part of you knew you needed to hear it. Leave a comment below. Tell me, what is the one thing you've been putting off that you're going to start today? Write it down, share it, make it real. When you say it out loud, even in a comment, it becomes a commitment. And commitments are the beginning of everything. And if you want more stories like this, stories about real struggle, real transformation, and real lessons that actually change how you live, then subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell, because we have so much more to share with you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. My friend, your someday is today.